Well, good morning, folks. We are here today for block 1 of our Hardanger Stitch Along. So, hopefully you have at least the 4-sided square border done for the first block. Like I said, I'm probably going to be stitching my 4-sided border as I go, because it gets a little boring stitching all of that at one time. So I have the border done for my first block. Oh, let me get that out of the way here. And now I'll have a cat who wants to come up here and play, but we'll let him stay down there because I've got too much stuff here. Anyway, the first thing we need to do when doing this block, if you look at it, you could, for all intents and purposes, start with the 4 cluster blocks closest to your 4-sided stitch. However, for me, that's just a little bit risky on placing the rest of the motifs. So what I am going to have you do, and what I would suggest, is first of all, not letting the cat come up on your table here. First of all, finding the center of your design area. So we're going to count over, Remy, please go down. We're going to count over 9 4-sided stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I have that marked with my needle. And if you count from this side, you're also going to have 9 because this across here was 18. So I am just going to run in any color floss or whatever you want to use, a basting stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go over and under 4 fabric threads. That's going to save me having to count so much a little bit later. Okay, so let's just do that. Pardon my shaky hands. And you can always check if you're at the right spot by looking over to your 4-sided stitch, and these 4 basting, or these over 4 basting threads should match up with the join on the 4-sided stitch. So if I come up here and I look at this here and run my needle across, I'm right where I should be. So I'm going to do that the whole way down. Two, 3, 4. Now feel free to stop the video at any time until you complete this step. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to go down there, and I'm just going to bring my thread up here out of the way. So that is one set. Okay, now I'm going to get another thread, and I'm going to do the same thing going side to side. Pardon me. Oops. When I can thread a needle. One of these days I think I'll learn how to do that. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, only this time we're going to count down 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing going across. Whoops, only you don't want to pull your needle out. That would be very helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, these two threads are going to intersect at the center, obviously, of your design or of your area to be stitched. Well, and hopefully you don't pull it out. Golly. Okay, am I supposed to do this today? I don't know. Here we go. I put this in a hoop and attached it so that I could better show you guys. Normally I would do this. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did you yell at me that I didn't have it at 9? Normally I would do this as a sewing thing instead of this sticking and stabbing. But I wanted you folks to be able to see it. So that's why we're doing it. That's why I'm doing it this way. And we'll double check, are we at the right? Yeah. Now, basting threads aren't, if you choose not to use them, that's okay. And if you choose to start with these cloister blocks with these up here, where's my, well, my pointer's not showing anyway. If you choose to start with the 4 up in the corner, I mean, that's certainly up to you. You can, but you don't have to. I just found, for myself, I just feel it's easier, and it's easier to count when you're placing the ships, and I forget what these in the middle on the sides are called. I'm just going to call them flowers, but it would be easier to place those. Okay, so now we have our basting done, or I have my basting done. Hopefully you do too, that you basted along with me. So now, I'm just gonna stick this up here, okay. Now we're going to get some number 8 pearl cotton. 12. Here's some 8. And we're going to do this center set of cluster blocks. Now, we are not going to cut today. I will tell you that right away. Cutting is not going to be on the agenda today. But what we are going to do is the cluster blocks that are 2 on each side. So, first thing we want to do is, if you see the red mark in the middle, that is our middle, the exact middle of what we just basted. Now, we know by looking at this chart, and I drew the blue lines in for the basting lines, and hopefully you can see that well. Let me see if I can, yeah. Okay, I see what I did here. Hold on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. I gotta move. I need to move this up so you can see the whole thing. Okay. Now, you can see, hopefully you can see these basting lines. Okay. So we know that just by looking here, a cluster block is 5 satin stitches over 4 threads of fabric. And those 4 threads of fabric are in both directions. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is the center. And if you look at your lines here, your grid lines, it's 2 fabric threads and then 4 fabric threads up to this. So right there is 6. And then we know this block is going to take another 4 fabric threads. So that makes it that we would count 2 and 4 is 6 and 4 more is 10. So what I'm going to have you do is look at your center mark and count up 10 threads. So we already know that here at the center, so this is 4, this is 8, 2 more makes 10. So we're going to be right in the middle. And if we look across, we're going to end up in the middle of this 4-sided stitch. And that's okay, because we're not having a multiple of 4. We have 10, so that is not equally divisible by 4. Now, we also know that the gap between these 2 cluster blocks is 4 threads. So we now have our needle stuck in here on this center line. In order to start our block, we need to go over 2 threads. For me, I'm going to go over 2 threads to the left, and that will be the start of my block. If you are left-handed, you may stitch a little differently, and that's up to you. But if you were going to start, you would go over maybe to the right. Okay, but I'm going to start right here at this first block. Okay, so I am going to count over 2 threads. But what I'm going to do is just kind of put a little, make that hole a little bigger, because I'm going to do an away thread, and I'm going to come up so that I'm 2 threads over from my center line. I'm going to leave a tail because remember, I'm going to want to work that in later. And now I'm going to work this block. So I'm going to go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, again, I would do this normally as a sewing method. And I'd come up at the top again. Okay. Now, I think I can sew this. Yeah. Okay. That's 2. This is 3. This is 4. And this is 5. So on 5, what do we want to do? You want to go down the side, so you want to turn. And if you notice, you're going to come up 2 threads in to this basting line. Okay, so now we're going to do 5 stitches this way. 1, 2, and remember, you just want to pull till your thread lays nicely. 3. You don't want to go too tight. 4, 5, and now I'm going to count over 4 threads. 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be 2 threads below the basting line. Okay, can you see that? Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to turn again. Okay, so I'm going to work my way around this whole thing. At this point, these basting, well, you can keep them in if you want, but at this point, all my count, me personally, I'm going to count off of these blocks. So I really don't need the basting lines. So if you want to remove them now, you can feel free to do that. I'm in my own light here. Can't, there we go. Maybe that'll be a little bit better for me to see. 1. And what I think I'm going to do is, so that you don't have to wait for me to stitch everything, you can stop the video here, because for some reason this does not let me pause. And I don't want to have to edit a bunch of clips together. So I'm going to let mine like this. Complete your square. Okay. And I will stitch this corner and this flower here to show you how to do it. So I will stitch, okay, this ship, this flower, and show you how to place these 4. I will at least get you started on all of these, okay? So that then you can complete the block on your own. If you have questions, you know you can certainly ask at any time, and I will get back to you. So once you have all of these 2, 4, 6, 8 blocks done in a square, the next thing that you will do, actually you can do either one. You can do the flower first, or you can do the ship first. And they're both done pretty much the same way. Okay, I'm going to have a ton of threads here. So hopefully I'm not going to get confused when I go to finish my block. Okay. So you can all chuckle a little bit at that. All right, so let's do the flower first. So that's this motif here in the middle. Okay. Right here. So that's along your basting line yet. So the easiest way to, because of the way I stitch, I am going to take this 4th, or actually if you count from left to right, it would be the 2nd stitch in this cluster block. And I am going to count up 1, 2, 3 threads. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So once again, I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to put an away thread, and I'm going to go above this. This needs to be tighter. Okay, I'm going to go above this second one, and that's 1, 2, 3 threads, and I'm going to come up and get all my extra strings out of the way here. Oh, Lordy. Okay, come on, come on. Okay, so even if we look here where you can see better, 1, 2, I'm above the third one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this first stitch, which is this stitch here, is going to go across 4 fabric threads. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's going to be 1 thread between the basting thread and your needle. Okay, can you see that? And then you're going to come up here even with where you went, where you came up. Okay, so these first stitches are going to be even. So this and this are at the same thread. Now, what you're going to do is your next stitch is going to go out 1. So it's going to be right at the basting line on your right-hand side, but it's going to come in 1 on the left-hand side. So can you see that? Okay. So I think it's time to get rid of this. Get rid of these basting threads. Yeah, I got a big scissors here. There we go. Okay. It's easier to see without that thread there. And like I said, you really don't need it anymore. I just wanted you to find the center without having a lot of difficulty doing so. Okay, so that's 2 stitches. Your third stitch, okay, we already came in 1. It's going to be even again, and it's going to come in 1 more time. And then the last one is going to come in 1 more time, so that your final stitch ends up being just over 2 threads. Now, personally, I like to work from the outside towards the center. So what I will do is, and I have to loosen up my thing here so that I can, okay, so that lets me do this. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to take my thread, and I'm going to slide it under these stitches so that I come back up to my starting point. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over back to the front again, and I'm going to now do this one. Okay, so I'm going to use this second stitch, count out 1 thread, and go over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to share the hole with the second stitch of the previous line of stitches. Somehow I could have pulled these just a smidge tighter. So I'm just going to do that with my needle now. There we go. Okay, so I shared the hole here. See, that shares. So now we start sharing the hole all the way. So now this one goes out 1 thread. I come up and I share the hole. Now remember, this has to have long stitches on the back just like your cluster blocks have to have long stitches on the back. If you don't have those long stitches, oops, went one too far, it will fall apart. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this one is, let me see which hole I was in here. Yep. This one was even. This comes up in a shared hole. And like I said, this for me is much easier when I'm sewing, but to demonstrate, it's easier for you to see if I stick and stab. So now this one shares the hole. Okay. So now you have 1/4 of the stitch done. And what you do is repeat that all the way around. So I'm gonna flip it back over, bring my needle back to the top, come back here, and now you see my next one is going to be this. So here I'm going to skip 2 fabric threads, bring my needle up to make this stitch, if you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to go up 2 fabric threads. I'm going to go across 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to share the hole. That one's even. No, wait, I went over one too many. You can tell that when you see that it's crooked. There we go. I'm going to share the hole and come in one this time, because now I'm making my join go this way. Okay, so I'm going to come in one. I'm going to share the hole. I'm going to come in one. And I'm going to share the hole. And I'm going over 2. Okay. Okay, and you just repeat that all the way around. That makes your flower. Okay? Now, to make your ship, which is this thing here with the big wings on it. Okay? To make your ship. And this will also be done in 2 halves. All right? I'm going to go back here to this cluster block. All right? And if I look at my chart, I can see that my ship starts over 2 threads. Now, I like to come up on the right, go down on the left. So I'm going to count over 4 threads. 1, 2, 3, 4, which brings it also even with that cluster block. So it would be the intersection of both of those. All right. So I'm going to start that by going 6, 7. Okay. This is my little trick for doing these. I know I now have counted that from that first stitch up to that widest stitch where all the holes are shared, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so here's my deal. And I'm going to do this as a sewing. All right, so I'm going to count over 2 threads. I'm going to go out 1. That's 1. And each time I'm going out 1. That's 2. Get all these extra threads out of the way. This is 3. 4. And no, I did not cut my thread and start anew because I'm going to probably take this out and redo it. I just wanted to get you guys through it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be 6. And this will be 7. Okay, now I'm going to start coming in. So that's 7. Now I start counting backwards. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. So now I'm going to go 6 because I'm going to be even on my left side. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and now I'm just going over 2, which is this first stitch here. There's a sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches that are over 2. So now I'm here and I'm just going to count to 5. So I already, this is number 1. Two, 3, there we go, 4. Now this will be the 5th one, but what I want to do on number 5 is, instead of coming up over here, I'm going to come up here. Okay, because, no wait, I went the wrong hole. I went in the wrong hole. Hold on, hold the phone. See that? I went up one too far. Okay, number 5 goes down here and comes up here, because now we're going to go on an angle. So that's 1. And on that angle, we need 1, 2, 3. So here's 1. All right, so let's double check here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have 1, and we're going to go out 1 thread again. 2, and I have a cat coming to visit. 2, 3. And now, Remy, please don't. Now that I have, oops, no, wait, hold on, hold the phone again. I went up to, I came up 1 too high. Okay, I should have come up here so that we have 3 on an angle. And now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to come up above that 4 and go over 2. And then I'm going to look at this here and I'm going to skip 2 threads. There's 1, there's 2, and I'm going to go over 1, 2. Then I'm going to go over 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go over 3 again. Then I'm going to come in 1 here, and my cat's going to get rid of my pearl gun. I'm going to come in 1 here, keep this even, and I'm going to come up even here and just go over 2. Okay, so it's just a matter of following your chart. Okay, so that is half of your ship. This other side, you do exactly the same way. Okay? Please let me know if you have questions. This gets, the first time you do it, just take it slow, go 1 step at a time. If it helps you to stick and stab as opposed to sewing, do that. Mine looks a little sloppy because I have it here in a hoop and I have it attached to something and I can't quite manipulate the way I normally do. So that's why I said I'm not starting and ending my threads, because I'm probably going to take this out and redo it. Okay, and next time you see this, there will be a finished block here. To do that, those 4 cluster blocks up here in the corner, okay, your first over 2 stitch, which was here, you're just going to count out 2 threads and then your 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're just going to make your blocks as usual. It's just getting the right placement. So it's okay, so that when you are making those, you have 2 threads in between the ship and the cluster block, and you just do your 5 satin stitches over 4 fabric threads, and you work your way around those 4. So you would do 1 here, 1 up here, okay, 1 up here, 1 over here, and 1 down here. And you do that in all 4 corners, and you will have completed block number 1. So I hope this gets you through the block. I will be back. Let me see here. Today is what? The 5th. So on the 19th, I will demonstrate the second block. Second block's really pretty easy. It's not hard at all. Let's see if we can flip up to, oh, no, gotta go this way. This will be the second block. And that really is not, it looks difficult, but it really isn't. It's just a lot of eyelets. And I think you guys probably already know how to do eyelets, so it's just a lot of them. But it's not hard. And I am going to save all the cutting until the end. If you choose and you want to cut ahead of time, feel free to do so. This is your piece and yours to stitch. I'm just going to take you through all the different blocks. Yeah, until we get it done, and I'm planning on every other week. Okay, so that gives you 2 weeks in between. If you find that you would prefer, if the majority of you would prefer a video every week, so that we're through all of the blocks in a shorter period of time, I can certainly do that also. All right, so you just have to let me know, is 2 weeks in between too long, or would you like it to stay at 2 weeks? Let me know that in the comments. So that is where we are with block 1. As I said, if you have problems with it or you need to know something else, or it isn't making sense, or whatever your question might be, just send me a message, send me an email, send me whatever your heart whatever your heart desires, and I will try and answer your question and get you through this. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for participating in our Stitch Along. So have a great day, have a great weekend, which is up and coming, and I will catch you next time.